Hello, I'm Daphne Billingsley, the West Tennessee Regional Coordinator at Child Care Tennessee. Most of you are familiar with the Support and Enhancement Grant, the $4,000 grant designed to help providers improve the quality of their programs. This grant has been with us a few years, but now, in addition to the $1,000 bonus available to providers in distressed counties and the $1,000 bonus available to providers who participate in the Child Care Certificate Program, there are 3 supplemental grants: an infant toddler grant, an accreditation grant, and a remediation supplemental grant, which we will review today. Grant overview. Licensed child care agencies with the Tennessee Department of Human Services may be eligible to apply for a one-time $1,000 supplemental remediation grant. Child care programs must have already applied and have been approved for the current year support and enhancement grant, as well as meet other eligibility requirements. Providers must have received a violation of some kind and have an active plan of corrective action in order to be eligible for referral to the grant. Eligible providers must be referred for the grant by TDHS licensing staff. Remediation Supplemental Grant Intake Form. Providers who have POCA violations to address may not access the application directly from ChildcareTennessee.com. TDHS licensing staff must refer providers for the Remediation Supplemental Grant with an intake form. Information and access to the application is provided by Child Care Tennessee staff following the receipt of an intake form. Note: please consider whether or not the $1,000 grant maximum can make a significant impact to address the violation and necessary remedy before making a referral. This consideration will help maximize the value of the award. TDHS licensing staff should be able to get the intake form link from your supervisor, or you can email me, Daphne Billingsley, at dbillingsley@cfmt.org, and request it. We know the intake form is completed by the TDHS licensing consultant. So let's take a look at the actual intake form and the fields that must be completed. In the first section of the intake, the licensing consultant will provide the official agency name, location, and contact information for the provider. You must also select the agency type and the appropriate grant type. In this case, it will be the remediation grant. The Remediation Supplemental Grant Intake Form lists the licensing consultant as the TDHS remediation staff. In this section, the licensing consultant will enter the referral date, their name, and contact information. The licensing consultant will also verify the provider's active plan of corrective action and provide the POCA date, and then submit the form. Application workflow. We know this application process begins with an intake form completed and submitted by the TDHS licensing staff. Then, the Child Care Tennessee Regional Coordinator will verify that the provider has completed the current support and enhancement grant. Contact the provider to explain the referral and the remediation supplemental grant and give them the next steps. If not yet completed, the Child Care Tennessee Regional Coordinator will ask the provider to complete the support and enhancement grant application. If their support and enhancement grant application has been approved, the provider will be given the link to apply for the supplemental grant. The Child Care Tennessee Regional Coordinator will answer any provider grant questions and assist them with completing their application to ensure that they don't request items that are not allowed and that their application is accurate, specific, and clear for the Child Care Tennessee Grant Coordinator. Once the completed remediation supplemental grant is received, the Child Care Tennessee Regional Coordinator will complete an initial review and forward it to the Child Care Tennessee Grant Coordinator. The Child Care Tennessee Grant Coordinator will complete the final internal review and eligibility verification before sending the application to the TDHS LFS for final approval. Once an application is approved, an electronic approval is generated and the Child Care Tennessee Grant Coordinator sends an official approval notification email to the provider. The approval includes a request for their current direct deposit information. The provider then sends the direct deposit information to Child Care Tennessee, and upon receipt, the Child Care Tennessee fiscal staff, who is also notified of the award, submits an invoice for approval and distributes the funds. Remediation supplemental grant funds must address issues identified in the plan of corrective action and may pay for items in the following categories. Equipment. Examples include playground materials or equipment, room furnishings, and appliances. Program enhancements, including supplies. Examples include educational materials like books and toys and curriculum. Consultants and coaches. Examples include training consultants, HR consultants, and financial professionals to improve financial stability. While we've been fortunate to have so many grants available to support providers in the last few years, it has made things a bit confusing. Let's review some frequently asked questions surrounding this grant. Does a program need to have received support and enhancement grant funds to apply for a supplemental grant? No, a program just needs to have applied and been approved for the current support and enhancement grant cycle. This will be verified by Child Care Tennessee upon receipt of the intake form. Does the TDHS licensing staff have to provide a copy of the POCA? Nope. When completing the intake form, the TDHS licensing staff will verify that the provider has an active plan of corrective action on file. The provider is responsible to provide a copy of the POCA with their application. Can agencies qualify for more than one supplemental grant? Yes, it is possible for agencies to qualify and apply for more than one supplemental grant. Agencies must still be referred based on eligibility requirements for each grant. What will the supplemental grant funds not cover? Grant funding may not cover general building renovations or remodeling or other enhancements to a facility or grounds that are not specific to the operation of child care agencies. Costs associated with fencing are considered capital expenditures and are not allowed. Agencies cannot apply for computers or tablets for classroom or administrative use. Funding may not be used for staffing costs. Will providers need to send a final report? Yes. After receiving and spending the grant funds, timely and professional installations should be completed. Once the purchases are made, providers should fill out and complete the final report and attach all applicable receipts. This information and a link to access the final report is issued in their award notification letter. If you have additional questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, Daphne Billingsley, at dbillingsley@cfmt.org. Thank you so much, and I do hope this presentation was helpful, and please get those referrals in quickly. Thank you.